SonGoshuaku here live, ready for WrestleMania 40 review live. So one of the things that first happened is Triple H comes out there and you could just tell that right off the bat, Triple H, he was soaking it in. Triple H realizing that no longer, he probably won't say it, but no longer is he restrained to Vince McMahon. It was really good to see. Just if you saw Paul Heyman's introduction speech or Hall of Fame induction speech, then you pretty much know exactly all the praise that he's been given, and it shows in the product. But now getting to the matches. So first up, we had for the Women's WWE World Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. All right, so one of the things that was really cool is that Motionless in White sings Rhea Ripley's theme to the ring, and she was really in sync with the lead singer. I think his name is Chris Motionless. I love that song, Demon in Your Dreams. It's just awesome. The whole entrance and presentation of Rhea Ripley is good. And then, of course, Becky Lynch came out, and they did a really good presentation, too, with her as well, using a CGI version and different parts of her book. So I thought that was really awesome. That being said, the crowd didn't sound too loud. You think they would be super hyped already for the very first match, and apparently they kept making a note all night long saying how it's like 50 degrees out there in Philadelphia and that the winds were making it like 45 degrees. Shout out to NoDQ.com's very own Walter Cruz and Big G, as well as my friend the man 0001, who all were out there. So it was cool to hear insight from them in terms of how the weather was. I was hearing chilly and stuff like that. But yeah, that may have affected the crowd, but overall I thought this was still a very good match. Rhea Ripley, she got a lot of hard hits in on Becky, and Becky herself had a lot of nice counters. There's a bunch of nice counters all through this match, so that definitely really helped. There was moments where I'm like, oh, they had these in like certain submission holds, and I'm like, are they gonna get out? Are they gonna get out? So overall, it was really good. And at the end, the finish was pretty great. Rhea Ripley does the riptide to Becky Lynch onto the turnbuckle, and then picks her up again and does another riptide to the canvas, does her inserting dominance pin, where the Mami is always on top type of pin to Becky Lynch, and retains the women's championship, just as I thought, as I predicted. Because when you think about Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, these are clearly the two women that WWE for the last few years, pretty much in the 2020s, have been focusing on, and it's going to look real good in that video package when they can show how Becky Lynch was defeated by both of them at WrestleMania. So I thought overall this was really good, and it makes sense. Becky Lynch and the Four Horsewomen, they've dominated the last decade of WWE, and it's cool to see them using their star power to help elevate the current new talent with Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. Certainly looking forward to when that match happens. As far as the match overall, I gotta be honest, I thought Becky Lynch's match 2 years ago with Bianca Belair was better than this, and I thought Rhea Ripley's match last year at WrestleMania with Charlotte Flair was better than this. But still, this was a good match nonetheless. So not my favorite between the two. I've seen them, but overall it was a very good solid match. Not bad by any means. So back when I streamed the review originally, I actually had missed on commentary that they mentioned that Becky Lynch was feeling under the weather. Something about she may have had a sore throat, the flu, or both, which now makes it understandable that even though I thought this was a good match, it still could have been better given that we know what both women are capable of. That being said, I would love to see Rhea and Becky both run it back in a rematch when both women are at 100% to see what they're truly capable of in a one-on-one match. But still a good match nonetheless this was, when it's considered the condition that Becky Lynch worked through here. The Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship 6-team ladder match, The Judgment Day, consisting of Finn Balor and Damian Priest defending their titles against DIY, consisting of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, versus Awesome Truth, consisting of The Miz and R-Truth, versus The New Day, consisting of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, versus the New Catch Republic, consisting of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Woo! That was a mouthful to say. Wow. And you know, just by announcing that, I went into this going like, oh man, this is going to be a real big cluster or it's going to be amazing, but it's going to be chaotic, right? Having 12 people in there with the ladder match. All right, I grew up on TLC matches with the Dudleys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian, so there was nothing in this match that I would say was as crazy as what some of the spots we saw in that match and those matches back in the day, and rightfully so, because man, you know, you definitely want to be a lot more careful nowadays, but it did have a lot of the typical ladder spots, and that was really good. I want to mention too, there were some really nice tributes. DIY came out and tribute to D-Generation X, Johnny Gargano as Shawn Michaels and Tommaso Ciampa as Triple H, and what was also really cool about that is Xavier Woods, he revisited his Consequences Creed look that he had back in TNA, so this was clearly being done because they're in Philadelphia as tribute to the late great Carl Weathers, who played, of course, the iconic Apollo Creed in the Rocky franchise. Philadelphia, of course, being the place where the Rocky franchise mostly took place, and I'm a big Rocky fan, so this was really cool to see. R-Truth, God bless this man, he gave us a hot tag in a pinfall in a ladder match. You gotta love R-Truth. He is hilarious. We had DIY pay tribute all as well. Once again, DX doing the Sweet Chin music in a different version of the pedigree from Tommaso Ciampa. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller actually did eventually win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships halfway into the match, so that was a shocker because I had Awesome Truth and DIY both winning one of these titles, but yeah, you know, I guess you want a tag team with the heels on there, so yeah, they clearly were going to separate the tag titles. Eventually, we do get to Damian Priest, who does the South of Heaven choke slam to The Miz off the ladder, but R-Truth comes in and hits the AA, of course, John Cena being his childhood hero, even though he's older than John Cena, which, by the way, R-Truth, to be in his early 50s, looks fantastic and moves fantastic, so much props to him, man. That being said, he basically gets his revenge on Damian Priest, laying him out of the ring, climbs up, and the audience was going crazy, and R-Truth grabs the tag titles, and the audience explodes. You see, they do this great shot panning out, and you see the ball, the beach ball being blown, being shot around and everything, so I thought that was pretty fantastic. One of the things, too, about this match that was really good to see at the end was R-Truth getting emotional. We're so used to R-Truth playing that goofball character that it's cool to see that this means a lot to him as a performer, because he is the last WWE Attitude Era full-time star still around. I remember him all the way back in his K-Quick days, so that was cool to see, and I'm happy for The Miz as well, because if you've been following The Miz, his wife went through just some troublesome stuff and having near tumors in her stomach, and she had to get a lot of her reproductive organs removed, and now thankfully she's tumor free, and that's so good to hear, because The Miz, man, to work through the year he's had dealing with that with his wife and his kids, can't even imagine. So it's good to see The Miz and R-Truth get this moment, and it's just fantastic. So I would say the ladder match, it was, if you grew up watching those old school ladder matches, it's not going to compare to those. But was it fun? Yes, it was exciting, and it gave us some really good feel good moments at the end, because R-Truth deserved it. He's, like I said, he's in his early 50s. You don't know how much more longer he's got left. It's good to see him get a big moment at WrestleMania. All right, so next up was Rey Mysterio and Andrade with the LWO versus Dominik Mysterio and Santos Escobar with Legado del Fantasma. This match was nice, but to be honest, it kind of felt like a TV level match, not a WrestleMania level match. To me, it was a match that I felt like you would see on SmackDown. It's not to say the work was bad in here; it was good. You're always going to get good wrestling with all the guys and gals involved in this. That being said, I felt the best part of the match came from, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Joaquin Wilde, as there's a part where he gets basically slingshot from the outside of the middle rope, and just, man, I don't know how many feet he covered as he basically knocks down Legado del Fantasma. So that was pretty awesome, and it's like, yeah, the best spot of the match came from someone who wasn't even in the match. But yeah, this tag match, it ends with, and I'm not a football guy at all, so please forgive me, but I guess it's the Philadelphia Eagles legends, Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson. They dressed in Rey Mysterio masks and basically help Rey and Andrade win, as in the end, after their interference, Rey's able to get the 619 and splash and pin Santos Escobar, which once again, like I said in my review and ranking mat videos of WrestleMania 39, had me shocked again. I thought Rey Mysterio was going to put over the young talent. So not only does he not put over his son last year at WrestleMania 39, but he also doesn't put over Santos again this year. So I'm not sure what's up with that. Rey being at the tail end of his career, it is what it is. I still am a Rey Mysterio fan, but yeah, man, that's 2 times in a year in WrestleMania that I thought Rey was gonna go ahead and put over his son and then Santos, but I guess it was not meant to be with the booking here. Overall, like I said, it was not a WrestleMania level match. I honestly thought Rey Mysterio versus Dominik Mysterio last year was a lot better than this match, but not bad by any means. But I would say, out of everything else on the show, I kind of thought this would be the lowest ranked match on the show. Not bad, but I would have to say, compared to everything else that happened on night 1, this would be probably my lowest ranking match. So yeah, there's a spoiler, possibly, depending on how night 2 goes, if I do my eventual WrestleMania ranking videos for these. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. So the thing about this match here that I felt, it felt like they should have done more. I felt more should have been done when building this up. Like, Michael Cole was constantly saying how this was the third time that real life brothers were going at it at WrestleMania, which further acknowledges Kane and Undertaker being kayfabe brothers, obviously, but everybody knows that. There was a great video package, and this is my thing. I put in my notes, despite the long gaps of no build-up throughout the months since SummerSlam to WrestleMania 40, that it was still a great video package, and it really was. The thing is, I was there at SummerSlam 2023 live. I wasn't a big fan of it. I didn't like how Jimmy Uso, even though he was entertaining, I didn't really like how Jimmy Uso said one thing and then decided to just go back with the Bloodline, especially when you listen to the lyrics of his theme song and about him standing out. I thought they would have built Jimmy up more as a big main event star, getting close to that main event star like they did with Jey Uso. And then it's like, okay, he would cost them the tag titles, then they wouldn't do anything for months. And then they would fight in the Rumble, and then they wouldn't do anything for weeks. And then Jamie would come back, and then they wouldn't do anything for weeks. And it's like the last couple of weeks is finally when we really started going, and it would have been cool if they would have been able to bring in Rikishi. He was there at the Hall of Fame, but I'm not sure why he didn't get involved in the story, but that would be dependent upon him, of course, whether he wanted to or not. That's his right. But yeah, I think I would have loved to see more from the build-up. That being said, in terms of the match, they introduced Lil Wayne as the greatest rapper of all time. I'm a casual rap fan, so feel free for any of you hardcore rap fans out there watching this, let me know if you feel that that's pretty accurate, that he's the greatest rapper of all time. That was coming from Samantha Irving, which must have been a line, obviously, WWE fed to her. So yeah, I will say a lot of my buddies who are big hardcore rap fans like him, but they disagree with that statement. That being said, he was the hype man for Jey Uso. And then what I did like is when Jimmy Uso comes out, Jey Uso came out firing right off the bat. Didn't even let Jimmy get in the ring and started going at it. What I notice is the subtlety of this match. There wasn't a lot of high impact moves, but the story was there, and there's like even just simple things of Jey Uso and Jimmy doing the punch exchange. When Jey, it's like the audience is going yeet, and then when it's Jimmy Uso, the audience is going no yeet. So that was cool to see back yeet, no yeet, yeet, no yeet. So that was awesome. The storytelling was fantastic. Obviously, the time that they've spent in the Bloodline no doubt has improved their storytelling in the ring, and it's been good, man. Like the trash talk and the emotion was all there, and I think that's what really helped carry this match. It was the story, the dialogue. There's parts where they went super kick. They had a super kick showdown. It's just, yeah, the storytelling was definitely on point in this match. And then there's this part where Jimmy Uso, he plays the old school heel. Basically, old school heel book 101, begging for forgiveness. I'm sorry, I apologize. And Jey Uso's like, all right, I accept your apology. I believe you. And he picks Jimmy up only to get hit with a super kick. And it's like, yeah, Jey Uso fell for the oldest trick in the book. But at the end of the day of this match, Jimmy does manage. I think Jimmy was going for a spear, but Jey catches him with a spear and ends up finishing off to win the match with a splash. This match really wasn't that long, and I do think there was a lack of intensity in it in terms of the build up and the magnitude and where I think they were trying to go. So I felt they didn't match that, but the storytelling definitely was excellent. And I'll be honest, I actually enjoyed this more than the tribal combat match at SummerSlam. So overall, I don't know if I would say it lived up to the full expectations I was hoping for, but what I did see, I really did enjoy. Jimmy and Jey were fantastic storytellings, and at the end of the day, when the storytelling is on point and it's a little, it's a good case of less is more, and I think that's why I really enjoyed the match. Whatever it may have lacked in terms of the intensity that I thought the magnitude of the storyline would bring, it more than made up for the storytelling itself. I wonder if this is just going to be one of many matches they'll have coming, and then this is where they're going to continue to build. So we'll see that. Now we get to the 6-women tag team match. Jade Cargill, Naomi, and Bianca Belair versus Damage CTRL, consisting of Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai. All right, so right off the bat, the entrances were awesome. Damage CTRL came out to this very inspired Japanese, well, it is pretty much an entrance of Japanese culture, and that was fantastic. And then after that, they had like this platform of Jade Cargill, Naomi, and Bianca Belair coming on, and each woman stepped off the platform to their entrance themes, and then Bianca Belair, she would be the one that lead the way down. It was fantastic. The gear, the women looked awesome. I really love even on the SmackDown when they all came out as cowgirls. Like, this was fantastic. And then as far as the match itself goes, my expectations were going to be met in this match, which were, once again, like I said in my ranking review, and I think even my review last year, given Asuka's history at WrestleMania, bittersweet. As far as standout performances in this match, I thought all these ladies were shine. I had time to shine. Happy for all of them. The biggest standout to me, though, was Bianca Belair. She's been one of my favorites the last few years here in the 2020s, and man, she was on fire. How quick she was moving, just making everything she did seem so effortless and yet so quick and explosive. With Bianca Belair, there's one point where she's fighting all 3 members of Damage CTRL that's in the ring, and I think she does something like she gets them all on the ground, eventually slams them all on the ground, and she does the ring where she runs into the ring and does the moonsault on all 3 of them. That was fantastic. Yeah, like I said, this was a fun, fast-paced match, one of the more fast-paced matches on the show, so it definitely was giving you everything you needed there. Jade Cargill, I thought, looked absolutely fantastic. They Damage CTRL bumped around for her like $1 million, and she looked smooth, and we even saw some things that I don't think we seen in even AEW. There's one point where she does like almost a driver or a Takamichinoku driver, so that was really cool. So I'm glad to see Jade Cargill continuing to improve. So yeah, and I really, really love the finish of this match. Bianca Belair, basically, she dodges Asuka when she goes for the miss, and unfortunately Asuka ends up spraying Kairi's, and when she turned around, her whole face was blue, so she got Kairi good, and you see the way Asuka sold it in her face. Like, that was fantastic. And Bianca Belair, she basically makes short work of Asuka afterwards. I think she takes her, not the KOD yet, she takes her ponytail, and man, that got a big pop out of me. She whacked, I think it was Asuka, right there in the shoulder, and I was like, oh man, that makes a huge noise with those microphones they got under the ring. Man, yeah, Asuka is probably gonna end up having that signature of Bianca Belair on her arm. But yeah, that takes Asuka out, and Jade Cargill, she ends up coming and she takes out Dakota Kai with her finisher. 1, 2, 3, it's over, and a lot of great history making here. Bianca Belair is now 4-0 at WrestleMania. And I will say this is probably would be, not that it was bad, this would, out of the 4 WrestleMania matches she's had, this would probably be my lowest ranked one. That's not to be to the detriment or anything of this match, because this was more about showcasing Jade Cargill and everything. But yeah, it's not going to compare to her one-on-one matches she's had, but still very good match. And Bianca Belair once again still missed WrestleMania, so just not a bad match at all from Bianca at WrestleMania. And I'm glad Naomi got the spot, glad for Damage CTRL, and Jade Cargill, like I said, she looked like $1,000,000. Also, Bianca Belair now has the most undefeated wins in WrestleMania history, surpassing Sable now. And I think they even mentioned that maybe Naomi may have, I think, was it Naomi or Bianca? One of them, I think they mentioned, may have the most wins in WrestleMania. Probably Bianca now. So yeah, I guess Bianca not only has the most wins in WrestleMania history out of any woman, but also is the most undefeated woman in WrestleMania. For the WWE Intercontinental Championship, Gunther versus Sami Zayn. I really wanted Chad Gable to get this spot. I thought the story worked better. To me, it felt like Sami was kind of been there, done that with the Intercontinental Championship. I was ready, and I'm still ready to see Sami Zayn move on eventually now to that world title. I was thinking, okay, Gunther is probably going to eventually get the world championship this year, and that's when they're going to do Gunther versus Sami Zayn. But obviously, the original plan was Brock Lesnar and Gunther, and as a result, Gunther and Brock falling through, they ended up putting Sami Zayn in that spot. And I thought that Sami was going to be put in this spot because the idea is, well, if we're going to have Brock Lesnar, or we're going to have Gunther lose anyway, or I mean, if we're going to have Gunther win, because Brock Lesnar doesn't need the Intercontinental title, nor should he probably be going over one of your up-and-coming young talents like Gunther, you might as well go ahead and have Gunther win if that was the plan all along. But as far as that, you knew Sami Zayn and Gunther were going to bring it, and the storytelling was great. There was a lot of Rocky influence going into this storyline. Just even the camera production, the way they shot everything of Sami Zayn walking through the hallways, talking to his son, his wife, and then being met by Kevin Owens, and then the way his music plays and he goes right through the curtain, and just you see this great shot of him walking into a sea of 70,000 plus people at the stadium. This was fantastic, just fantastic cinematography, honestly, I thought. And then Gunther came out, and as far as this match, man, the audience was definitely hot for this match. They were going at it, lots of chops. You knew you're always going to get a very physical match when it comes to Sami Zayn, and especially Gunther. And there were some parts that had me, like Gunther hits the powerbomb on Sami Zayn, and I'm thinking, oh, he's going to kick out, and he does. But then he hits 2 power bombs later in the middle of the match, consecutively back to back, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's over. Sami put in a good effort, and he kicks out. I'm like, oh, okay, they had me right there. And the audience was really getting into it. Later on, though, in the match, Gunther, he pretty much is constantly taunting Sami's wife by constantly beating up her husband in front of her, and it's getting to the point where it's like, I think they're gonna have Sami win, because Gunther's just getting way too overconfident here. He's had this man beat multiple times, and sure enough, by the time we get to the end of the match, Gunther once again is on the trying to do another splash on top of the rope, but Sami fires himself up, and Gunther paying too much attention, trying to ton his. Because this was a portion of my stream that originally messed up what I was trying to say, I wanted to get it out here, which was, I did enjoy the part where Sami Zayn towards the end of this match hit Gunther with the haluva kick while he was on top of the rope, paying too much attention to trash talking his wife, and then following that up with the twisting brainbuster off the top rope onto the top turnbuckle, and then finishing him off with the haluva kick for the 1-2-3, winning the Intercontinental Championship. That was phenomenal, and from my understanding, this is something that Sami Zayn used on his time in the Indies as El Generico, so that was really good. At the end of the day, Sami Zayn and Gunther really had a good match. Storytelling, would have preferred Chad Gable, but it was a heck of a title reign from Gunther, and I'm looking forward to seeing Gunther and even Sami Zayn as the WWE Intercontinental Champion, both going on to bigger things like the World Championship. So yeah, and I don't know if it got put in there, but I was just saying that Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, they announced a attendance of 72,543 fans, and that's awesome because it just goes to show you that even though they got all this sponsorship money, Triple H still has the passion, and that's what's up. The main event: Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns and The Rock. Whew. What a main event this was. All right, so the entrances were top notch, especially The Rock, who came out electrifying as always, had flames of the Brahma Bull, so this was awesome. I thought it was pretty funny that Corey Graves and Pat McAfee, they had their ones up in the air, but not Michael Cole. And Samantha Irvin, she did a tremendous job introducing everyone. I knew this whole entrance was going to take about 30 minutes, and The Rock looks tremendous at 51 years of age. The shape that he is in, man, that just goes to show you right there. That's got to be age goes. Take good care of yourself, and look at that, man. So yeah, Rock definitely looked phenomenal physically in shape, but was he in shape in terms of ring shape? So in terms of this match, man, it really reminded me of those old school Monday WWE Attitude Era brawls. That was the time frame that I grew up as a wrestling fan, and man, they were fighting all over the place. Roman and Cody were up all the way to the ramp and stage. The Rock and Seth were all through the audience, so those people definitely got their money's worth. Man, there was so many just great psychology. That's the thing, is that everybody in this match made every single thing mean something. There's a part where Roman gets busted open and his facial expressions and how he sells it, I thought was just fantastic, and stuff, and he uses it to get angry. I thought The Rock, man, probably did one of his best looking sharpshooters ever in this match and stuff like that. I remember there was one time where Bret the Hitman Hart was like, he loves The Rock, but he would love to show The Rock how to do the sharpshooter, but it must have really paid off there. Man, there was parts where The Rock was taunting Mama Rose and took his belt out, basically keeping his promise. That was cool because you had Mama Rose and Cody Rhodes' father-in-law, who had, and congrats on him, who had just beat, I think he had beat leukemia, and he made it here to WrestleMania to see his son-in-law. So I thought that was fantastic. There's parts where Cody Rhodes, he gets hit in the spine. He goes for The Rock hits Cody Rhodes with the spine buster, goes for the people's elbow, but Cody reverses it with a Cody cutter off the middle rope, which I was like, that's pretty much just him exposing the ridiculousness of the people's elbow because you gave him all that time to recover. But hey, if you grew up like me in the Attitude Era, we love The Rock's people's elbow, and yes, even if its psychology is ridiculous, it's fantastic. The Rock's so full of charisma and everything he does, and I noticed that Rock was still selling like $1 million. The Rock was still doing his old punching, shaking his legs and stuff, and just fantastic. So he hadn't missed a step in terms of that. At one point, Roman even tries to spear Cody, but Cody moves out of the way, and Roman accidentally hits The Rock, and the crowd became unglued. I was like, oh, because everyone knew what this meant. It meant, oh, is there going to be some dissension now between Rock and Roman? That was fantastic. Cody and Seth, then they come back in and hit stereo pedigrees, and they made it look like this was going to be where they beat them both, but they kick out. Rock and Roman did, and the match just had so much great stuff, even though it built up slow and then got more fast paced in the end. Like I said, these guys were masters at storytelling. They made everything they mean matter something. Every move, every kick, every punch, everything had purpose. Even The Rock was cheating, and the reason why he cheated is because he told the referee, and he was bullying the referee all through the match. He said, hey, you count out or you disqualify me, you're fired. And it's like, wow, once again, making sure everything makes sense. But I will admit, it would probably be like, well, Rock, if he wanted to, he could have probably just gone ahead and make this a tornado rules and had a whole bloodline come in there and said to the referee, oh, you're fired, right? But it makes sense, I guess. Rock still wanted to be somewhat fair as competitive, right? And then from one point, The Rock, he tries to do the Rock bottom to Cody Rhodes on the Spanish announce table, but Seth stops it, causing Cody to give Rock the Rock bottom from the Spanish announce table onto the American announce table. So that was like one of the biggest bumps The Rock took in the match. So, you know, putting their working boots on. And I was saying when they got on the announce table, I'm like, yeah, these announce tables don't break as easy as the ones back in The Rock's prime and stuff like that. And then right after that, Roman gives Seth Rollins the spear through the guardrail, and that's a spot that I feel like we see a lot of nowadays, so it's not as special, but the way they timed it here just really added to it, and it was like chaos, and everybody was down. You know, if prime Jim Ross was on commentary, he'd be like, you know, by God, there's bodies everywhere and stuff like that. So man, and then in the end with Seth fully out of commission, Roman Reigns ends up hitting the spear on Cody Rhodes in the ring, and Roman, he tags in The Rock, and The Rock then gets in position for the Rock bottom, and it's been so good to see The Rock do that pose again, and he hits it this time on Cody, and then nails the people's elbow for the 1, 2, 3. That was just some of the notes I took down. There was a lot more into this match. This was fantastic. It was fun. But yeah, The Rock and Roman Reigns walk out victorious, and they almost did the same thing with as they're walking up the aisle with the newly Hall of Fame Paul Heyman. Great speech, by the way. Highly recommend you check it out if you haven't seen it. As they're walking up the aisle holding their respective titles, Roman obviously the Universal WWE Championship, and The Rock holding the People's Championship that was gifted to him during Muhammad Ali's introduction. It is here that they almost do shot for shot Cody Rhodes basically looking just completely depressed, realizing that crap, now he has to wrestle under the Bloodline Rules. And this is exactly where I thought they were going, because now the deck is being stacked against Cody, and I figured it had to be this for the suspense, right? Because now it's going to be like the Avengers Endgame. I'm expecting tomorrow night or later tonight, now it's because like 2:41 a.m. Central Time here, I'm expecting that this is going to be mayhem. This is going to be one of the most chaotic main events we've ever seen in WWE history. And as someone who loved that 1998 Over the Edge main event with Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Dude Love, or The Rock versus Triple H at Backlash 2000, those are two of the most overbooked main event matches, and I love it because that had so much great storytelling and star power behind it, and I'm expecting us to see this. Probably a John Cena cameo. I'm hoping for my all-time favorite, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the glass to shatter, and comes out to give The Rock one more stunner. Seeing my all-time two favorites get physical in the ring just one more time, man, that's gonna blow. Well, there's no roof to be blown off, but man, that's gonna make that whole stadium go boom for sure. So I'm expecting chaotic, but this had to be, because it will make Cody Rhodes' eventual win that much sweeter, because they want us all the way up to the last minute to see that it looks like all hope is lost for Cody Rhodes. And that's exactly what this main event delivered on. It was fantastic. It had me invested the whole time. Like I said, it's between this and the last two matches, man. Just fantastic. Just awesome. I also wanted to add on that The Rock at 51 years of age, I thought not only physically looked great in there, but also condition-wise looked great in there in the ring in terms of his performance. At 51 years of age, The Rock basically working within the limitations that come with age. He did pretty well, honestly. Stone Cold, when he made his comeback a couple of years ago at WrestleMania, he didn't break out all his signature moves, just like The Rock here didn't break out all his signature moves. Would have loved to see The Rock get in there and do those arm drags, those DDTs, the kick-ups and stuff like we used to see back in the day. But I do remember at WrestleMania 29, he had injured a lot of muscles in that match with John Cena, and he was doing some of that stuff, and you could tell that it looks like The Rock was definitely working as smart as possible here to accommodate not being in the ring for so long, as well as his age and everything. So yeah, when you consider all that, yeah, I thought The Rock looked phenomenal. Definitely, he still has that in-ring presence and charisma and storytelling to still hold his own in the match. And that's why the final boss is one of the all-time greats. He's my second favorite, right next to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Overall, WrestleMania Night 1 had a lot of good to... Okay, sorry, I guess I got lost there for a second. I don't know what the heck was happening here with my stream, but as I was saying, WrestleMania 40 overall had a lot of good to great matches, but nothing bad, which, if you've been a long time listener or a follower of mine here on my YouTube channel, is something I always said about NXT back in the day during its golden era, which was ran by Triple H back then and now. So yeah, that was definitely a pattern that I'm starting to see here, and I'm looking forward to night 2, and we'll see if this goes down as one of the all-time greatest WrestleManias. So I'm really looking forward to where we end up from there. But overall, I had fun. This was a great show, and I'm looking forward to night 2. WWE WrestleMania 40 Night 2. All right, so we kick things off with Stephanie McMahon coming out for the first time in what we haven't seen her in like 2 years, rocking the 2003 SummerSlam gear. If you remember that one where she took down Sable and then celebrated with The Undertaker, the same person who tried to abduct her and force marry her against her will. Man, pro wrestling, you gotta love it. But yeah, she was basically out here to sing her husband's praises, as everyone has done, because when you look at this show, Cody Rhodes finally finish the story, and that's exactly what it was about tonight, but we're gonna get more into that with detail. So let's start things off with the very first match. It was for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, Seth freaking Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. All right, so going ahead with this match, I thought that was something that was really cool is that we did get Drew McIntyre coming out with, because, you know, obviously because of his Scottish heritage, a very rowdy Piper-esque type of entrance. So I thought that was really cool. And then Seth Rollins came out with some sort of parade with him. You know, he brought himself an army for the entrance. I'm like, oh man, bring all of them for the Bloodline. You're gonna need that army, right? So as soon as the bell gets going, Drew McIntyre comes in like boom, right there with the Claymore for Seth Rollins, and I'm thinking, man, this right here is how you kick off WrestleMania 40. They were even saying that the weather was a lot warmer now compared to what it was the previous night. So the fans were definitely really rowdy for this. From there, the story of the match is that Seth Rollins hurt his knee, of course, being in the main event the previous night, and from there basically you get a lot of working the knee with Drew McIntyre, and you got CM Punk on commentary, who I thought was very entertaining. He's just so good, so unnatural, you know, like he says, his mouth still works, and you hear that through the commentary. So there's a lot of counters, they're evading each other's finishers. Yeah, there's a lot of spamming of the finishers here, but a lot of in-between stuff. So not like I would say those matches where you would have like Goldberg and Drew McIntyre, you know, just like when you had Braun, Goldberg, and Roman, who, you know, they not only do their finishers, but they would also implement a lot of different moves in between. This was different from that compared to some of those matches we've seen before in like a lot of those Goldberg matches and stuff. From there, you had the audience basically at one point Drew McIntyre goes for the go to sleep, and CM Punk makes a funny comment, said, yeah, CM Punk is actually telling the audience what he's doing, putting them to sleep. So that was very entertaining. You had a lot of finishers, once again, with a lot of great near falls. Drew McIntyre, he then hits one more Claymore and gets the emotional pinfall 1, 2, 3 on Seth Rollins, who gave it his all but just couldn't hack it in there with that one bad leg. And man, audience erupted. I erupted because I was so glad. I've been Drew McIntyre since the day he walked out as the chosen one, and finally seeing him win a world championship here in front of an actual audience, because the pandemic not only robbed him but robbed the fans, robbed everybody of seeing this great moment, and robbed him of experiencing that great moment. So that was awesome to see, and you could just tell how Drew was so emotional about it, just hearing the audience around him holding the world title, and then he eventually even goes and presents the title to his wife. So I thought that was an awesome moment, as opposed to last time where, you know, he had to watch it taped during WrestleMania 36. And then from here we get him talking trash to CM Punk as he's walking away, and yes, Drew McIntyre is walking away. CM Punk then has enough of this guy's crap, and he goes ahead and swifts his leg down and yanks Drew's leg, and Drew falls onto the announce table. And basically after this, CM Punk takes his arm brace off and just starts going to work on Drew McIntyre, beating him down over. He was whooping Drew McIntyre with his metal arm brace like The Rock was whooping Cody Rhodes a couple of Monday Night Raws ago. So I figured this was gonna go ahead and end up happening. Yo, we got SMP 2930. What up, man, in the chat? Thanks for joining my review. But man, that was awesome to see here. And let me go ahead and see if I can highlight your show. Yeah, I'm still getting used to this whole live stream. So there you are. Went ahead basically for there, getting used to this new live stream. But that being said, shout out by the way to Aaron Riff, who introduced me to StreamYard. So that was awesome. And then we get to the cash in. This right here is what I expected was going to happen. Damian Priest going ahead and cashing in. That man ran out like he was Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31 with the Money in the Bank briefcase, seizing the opportunity. He throws Drew McIntyre into the ring and hits the South from Heaven choke slam in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre loses the WWE World Championship as Damian Priest now celebrates with that very title and basically goes up the ramp to celebrate with his fellow Judgment Day mates. So look at the Judgment Day. They have the top men and women's world championships on Monday Night Raw. This right here was all around great storytelling. Just all around great storytelling. There are so many parts that all intertwine with this. You got to go back to Survivor Series when Drew McIntyre it was Damian Priest who didn't trust Rhea Ripley bringing Drew McIntyre into their alliance for the War Games. And they were going back at it. And Damian Priest like, I'm going to get you, Drew. He said it. He said it in January. I said it right then. They were planting the seed for that. And we didn't think much about it, but yeah, Damian promised Drew he was going to get him back. And as these months go by, the story of how, Drew, unfortunately, during that DDT, CM Punk got injured. They made a negative into a positive with Drew basically doing some of the most fantastic heel work. And you think about how he constantly kept talking about CM Punk, and you're wondering, is he too focused on CM Punk? And should he be more focused on Seth Rollins? Well, he beat Seth Rollins, but he was still too focused on CM Punk, and there's only so much trash talking you can do to the man's face. And then boom, CM Punk made him pay for it, and that ends up costing him the title and Damian making good on his promise to Drew. I love it. This is what we can expect in the Triple H era. All these storylines where you can go back and see, oh, I see where this makes sense, and I see where that makes sense, and you put all the pieces together, and when the story's done, wow. Fantastic storytelling. So that's what I really love. This was a really hot way to start off this match. Okay, so moving on to our next match. It is Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament, consisting of AOP and Karrion Kross, who were of course accompanied by Scarlett and Paul Ellering. All right, so they brought out Snoop Dogg on the commentary for this one. So I thought he was entertaining. Another great thing they did, as the special guest referee, Bubba Ray Dudley was announced. So that was cool. Of course, they're in Philadelphia. Bubba Ray being an ECW legend, it made sense, especially being that this is a street fight, and ECW was known for all that hardcore type of matches. So the match overall was very entertaining. Lots of kendo sticks and stuff you usually see in the street fights. B-Fab even gets a Russian leg sweep to Scarlett off the side of the ring apron, and they went through the table on the outside. So I thought that was cool. At one point, Karrion Kross, he gets mad against Bubba Ray Dudley because he thought it was a 3 count, but Bubba's like, no, it was a 2. So he shoves Bubba Ray, and Bubba Ray Dudley ain't gonna take no mess. So he puts on the iconic glasses, which I just realized on my stream. I got my glasses on right now. Yeah. So he takes out I actually don't need these. Let me take these off. Yeah. But yeah, like Bubba Ray, he put his glasses on, and it's at that moment that, man, you just knew right there that Bubba was about to get serious. And it's kind of like from here that the match becomes really biased from Bubba Ray's standpoint, because we're getting what that spots, which if you are a 2000s kid or a teenager in the 2000s like me, you grew up with that, seeing the Dudleys do that spot, you'll remember it. That was cool to see. They even basically have a point where they're shoving each other and they're like, get the tables, you know, the typical Devon spot. So I thought that was really cool. From there, the match becomes, towards the end, we get to where Karrion Kross is placed on the table, but it breaks in half. And you got to give Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits credit because they improvised a lot by keeping the pressure on Karrion Kross and everything instead of just going like, oh snap, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Yeah, none of that. So they set up another spot with the table, and this one actually breaks when Montez Ford lands that amazing frog splash to get the 1-2-3 victory. And then in the end, Snoop Dogg, Bubba Ray Dudley, B-Fab, Bobby Lashley, and the Street Profits are all celebrating in the ring. It's as if the fix was on the whole time, and there was just a big bias against the Final Testament. Oh man, like I said, this was a fun match, and to be honest, I really wasn't feeling this storyline. I felt it was just way too one-sided and very repetitive. It was a lot of the Street Profits. This whole feud was basically 3 to 4 months of the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley and B-Fab getting beat down by the entire Final Testament. That's pretty much what this story was, but the match was entertaining and made up for it, so I thought that was good. All right, we're going to move on to our next match here. LA Knight, versus AJ Styles. So I'm glad, honestly, in general, that LA Knight and Bobby Lashley got matches this year. If you all remember, it was at WrestleMania 39 last year. They got nothing. Well, yeah, I don't think AJ Styles, no, it was LA, didn't even get an appearance, and Bobby just came out there to pose with the trophy. But that being put aside, they had their matches this year. AJ Styles came out to some new music. I think I need to hear more of it, but so far I think what I heard sounds pretty good. It does sound more ominous to fit with his new heel persona, so definitely gotta go ahead and give it that. And then as far as the match, I really like the way this starts out. AJ Styles just runs down, takes his vest off, and these guys just start hammering each other with their fists. And that's the psychology of the story. It's built on a bad blood feud with, breaking into people's homes. That's exactly, you're not going to want to start off very, professional like with a collar and elbow tie up. No, they went at it. There were some little nice details in this match, like LA Knight pulling back the mat below to try and hurt AJ Styles really bad, but AJ, of course, gives him a backdrop on the concrete. So little nice details right there that would once again make sense in a blood feud match like this. We did get some really cool, solid action between these two, but in the end, LA Knight picks up the win with the blunt force trauma, technically now being undefeated at WrestleMania. It's true, 1-0, but still undefeated nonetheless. Overall, this was a really good match between these two. I thought it was AJ Styles' best match since, I think, in terms of being in the ring, his best match probably since WrestleMania 33 against Shane McMahon. I was there live for that one in person, and of course, the cinematic match with The Undertaker at 36 was awesome. But yeah, this was good. This is definitely going to have to go up there as one of the best AJ Styles matches at WrestleMania. So yeah, man, these guys put on a really good match, and I really like that this may have seemed like it was just a feud to put these two guys together because they had nothing else better for them to do, but man, these guys worked at it. I applaud what they did with the storyline. I really like the attention to detail when AJ home almost got invaded by LA Knight, and they actually had dash cam footage. Just there was a lot of great stuff in this feud, I thought, just to make things make sense. So that was really awesome. And then we're gonna move on. Oh yeah, there was another cool thing I was gonna say. They brought out the WWE Hall of Famers, class of 2024. Always a classy thing to see. That was great. Paul Heyman especially coming out to the old ECW theme. And when they showed the Bray Wyatt trailer for his documentary, the audience was lighting up their cell phones. Of course, Bray Wyatt, rest in peace, definitely should have been here for WrestleMania. He will never be forgotten. So that was really cool to see. All right, so now we are going to get to the triple threat match for the WWE United States Championship. Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul. All right, so Logan Paul comes out to the ring in his prime hydration. I used to think it was an energy drink because I don't really keep up with Logan Paul, like I said, but the dude can definitely get down as a WWE superstar when it comes to his in-ring work and just overall superstar packaging when it comes to knowing how to be in the ring, on the microphone, and in the ring, just stuff like that. And Kevin Owens, he drives his own vehicle to the ring, but as Randy Orton is coming out, Kevin Owens backs up and gives Randy Orton a ride down to the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, I have never, ever at WrestleMania seen one opponent give another opponent a ride to the ring for the very same match that they are going to be competing in. That was pretty hilarious, and this was basically the telling of what the match was gonna be. I should also mention they kind of gave Kevin Owens the same entrance they gave Sami Zayn to hype him up, and I'm like, oh snap, are they really gonna go with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn as the mid-card champions? So as far as the first part of this match, it was a glorified handicap match, because what we're getting here is Randy Orton and KO just beating down Logan Paul until they both got the pinfall at once, and now it's like, okay, they remember this is a triple threat match, and it always goes like this. You remember Kane and Undertaker? For those of you that watched Breakdown 1998, Kane and Taker were being a whole team against Stone Cold, but when they both went for the pinfall at the same time and realized that title was on the line, now we got issues. So that's pretty much what was going on here. I mean, Randy Orton, he's the first one to try and KO Kevin Owens when he's not looking at the match from here, and it becomes a triple threat match basically. All right, so as Logan Paul, he does this beautiful looking buckshot lariat double clothesline to both KO and Randy Orton. So that was really cool. There's one part of this match for Randy Orton and Logan Paul are hammering each other back and forth with punches, and Logan Paul gets the better of Orton. And of course, they bring up on commentary, this makes sense because he went toe to toe with Floyd Mayweather. So yeah, that was awesome to see. There were some really nice details in this match, like Randy Orton not knowing who to RKO when both men were getting up. He tries to RKO Logan, but Kevin Owens ends up doing this. Kevin Owens ends up getting in the way of this cool spot where he gives Randy a code breaker, and he lands back first to Logan Paul like a senton on Logan as he finishes off getting Randy Orton the code breaker. So that was like a really cool sequence on how that worked together. I should have probably put it in my notes better there though. There's a part where Logan Paul gets the brass knucks, and Randy, he already sensed it coming, and so they get into like this tug of war, and Logan gets behind it and rakes Randy Orton's eyes, knocks him down, knocks KO down, and from here Randy Orton kicks out, and he nearly, actually I believe at this point, has the match won because he gets the RKO on Logan Paul, but it is broken up by someone in the Prime Hydration drink as the mascot, who last year was KSI, who's, once again, I don't follow him at all. I'm thinking that's who this was here, but it was, and I believe they said the name is I Show Speedin. Once again, I am not familiar with him, but yeah, I Show Speedin is the one, and this guy, he was just basically talking a lot of trash, so much so cussing in Randy Orton's face that they were censoring it, and then he starts barking like a dog. And from Randy Orton, man, just goes boom, kicks him down, and then rips the mascot, the Prime outfit off of him and puts him on the table. And this was hilarious right here. So before Randy Orton delivers the RKO, he's got the guy basically like this, and he just goes and then he does the RKO and lays that guy out. I was cracking up, man. So that was hilarious. The most hilarious RKO spot I've seen. But the ending sequence to the match was fantastic. Kevin Owens goes for the pop-up powerbomb, but in midair, Randy Orton twists his body, grabs KO by the neck, and lands the RKO out of nowhere. That was awesome. And then Logan Paul immediately comes in and basically throws Randy Orton out of the ring, making Randy Orton hit the metal steel post with his the metal steel post on his shoulder. So Randy's out, and then Logan Paul basically goes to the up on top of the top of the ropes and does the frog splash and lands the 1, 2, 3 pinfall on Kevin Owens, retaining the championship just as I predicted he would. Now, I got to give props to all three of these guys because I knew with the talents involved, this match was going to be good. But man, I did not know this match was going to be this good. These guys really delivered a tremendous triple threat match at WrestleMania that was entertaining from start to finish. So fantastic work from there. Now, we get to the co-main event. Bayley versus Iyo Sky for the WWE Women's Championship. All right, so Bayley has new entrance music that it just basically sounds like a remix to her previous theme, Deliverance, which I'm a big fan of. Sounds nice. Sounds nice. So no complaints, and it had a very Egyptian feel to it, because Bayley, of course, here came out in an Egyptian-inspired entrance with basically just the guys that were carrying her to the ring, who are probably some of the upcoming stars in NXT. Good to look out. Never forget that her fellow other three horsewomen, a couple of her other fellow horsewomen and Alexa Bliss once carried Triple H to the ring, basically, or at least walked out to the ring with him at WrestleMania 10 years ago, and look where they are now. So these guys one day might be talking about how, hey, they helped Bayley to the ring one day, and look where they are now. So that was really cool. Bayley's gear looked awesome. Once again, very Egyptian theme-esque. And then even the Titantron effects for Iyo Sky's entrance looked fantastic. She came out with a sick-looking jacket, but Damage CTRL stayed behind. So Iyo Sky, to her credit, as even a heel, she kept this one-on-one. And I figured they had to, because I knew there was going to be shenanigans in that main event. So, of course, they're not going to repeat the same thing here. So it was good that they did keep it a one-on-one fight. And then, very much the nice thing about the match here is the audience was really into it. They were singing the whole Bayley song, all that stuff with Bayley. So that was cool. Now she's a babyface again. Plus, there's probably a lot of the UK crowd there, and they usually always sing that for Bayley when they're over there. But both ladies started off with an intense tie-up, and we've seen Bayley, I think, break out some moves that we haven't seen her done in a while, since now she's a babyface. Of course, I think she's been adding a more aggressive style since she's been working as a heel for the last 4 to 5 years. But I think 5 years now. And from there, and that's from what I can remember, though, eventually, though, after Tope Suicida out the ring, Bayley starts limping, and this becomes the story of the match from here. Iyo is basically working over the leg with Seth. I say Seth Rollins, but she's working over the leg against Bayley. So very much like Seth Rollins, Bayley is now trying to overcome the odds of beating Iyo on one leg. So there's some nice looking spots here, like Bayley doing a sunset flip that sends the back of Io's head into the ring, into the turnbuckle. Iyo Sky hits a suplex. She hits a really good looking German suplex on Bayley and rolls back and holds on to Bayley and does another German suplex. So that was really cool. And then when she goes for the over the moonsault, I think is what she calls it, Bayley gets both feet in the air, and it looks like basically that when Iyo Sky came down, because Bayley had both her feet in the air, and Iyo Sky lands on it and just bounces right off like halfway across the ring. It looked phenomenal. And then from there, twice Iyo does this amazing counters into the crossface and even transitions into an STF. I cannot put Iyo over enough for how gorgeous her transitions and timing was in this match for the counters. Both women, they really start getting emotional, going back and forth, brawling, because of building up about the friendship that is now broken. At one point, Bayley goes for the Bayley to belly again, only for Iyo to transition it into a beautiful pin that gets a near fall on Bayley. And finally, Iyo Sky does land the moonsault, but Bayley kicks out. From here, Iyo Sky, she just starts spamming the moonsault over and over, like jumping on like the middle rope and then going back and jumping on the top rope and then doing it again. But I think when she tries it the third time, she ends up actually missing it. And when she ends up missing the third one, it's from here that Bayley comes along and she basically does a 3-hit combo here. She delivers like a backdrop, like a side backdrop, and then from there hits the elbow in the Macho Man Randy Savage style. Ooh, yeah. And then finishes Iyo with the Rose Plant, which I think I forgot to mention. She hit the Rose Plant almost earlier, but Iyo did an amazing counter where she stopped it by landing on her feet, and this caused Bayley to go knee first into the canvas, and Iyo rolled through, and it looked fantastic. Once again, I cannot stress how awesome the counters in this match was. But after the second Rose Plant, Iyo gets hit with by Bayley. Bayley scores the 1-2-3 for the championship to win, the women's title. This was fantastic. Now listen, Rhea versus Becky I thought was good last night, but this match I thought, man, was great. Like I would say Rhea versus Becky was good. This match was great. I thought this is definitely the best of the two women's championship matches we saw, and honestly the best of all the women's matches, and certainly definitely one of the show-stealing matches here in terms of like a lot of the other matches we had on the card. This was fantastic. Great emotion when Bayley won one. It's so good to see Bayley, after spending all these years. She really helped carry the company a lot throughout the pandemic, and now seeing where she was able to basically, help build up Bianca over the last couple of years, and some of the other women having a good feud with Becky. Now it was Bayley's turn. Now she's back on top of the mountain as a champion, and we're going to see this new role model character that she created on the babyface side, and I'm all here for it. This was fantastic. Great shot, really showing what Iyo can do in the ring. So I thought she got a pretty good, decent championship run here. I just wish she would have won most of her matches clean, but nonetheless, this was great. And once again, I love the story of how it all builds up. And then some of the other things we got to before we get to the main event here. Snoop Dogg announced that the full attendance for both nights was 145,298. Absolutely fantastic at how on fire the WWE is. And now for the main event. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, with Paul Heyman in a Bloodline Rules match for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Oh man, what a main event. I'm going to go ahead and try and keep it all together here. All right, so Cody Rhodes, he gets a dramatic entrance with a skull, and it is accompanied by his wife, Brandy Rhodes. And of course, he has an amazing jacket on, but he walks to the ring alone. Now, Roman Reigns, this man, he came out with a whole orchestra doing his theme song, and they, of course, killed it. So I thought that was really awesome. And then also, before I get to mention on last night's stream that there was some history actually made, The Rock joined The Undertaker as the only two men in the main event of WrestleMania, or the only two men to main event WrestleMania in 4 different decades. And Roman Reigns made history by tying Hulk Hogan for the most main events in WrestleMania history at 8. But as of this WrestleMania Night 2, the all-time record was for the most WrestleManias broken at number 9 for Roman Reigns. So that was awesome, really good to hear. That being said, Samantha Irving, she killed the introduction again, with both guys looking in tremendous shape. Also, much shout out to the camera work. They had these high-level Sony cameras, it looked like, getting that shadow depth of field where the background was blurred out and you have the wrestlers in sharp focus. It looked fantastic. They were doing this for a lot of the big world championship matches, so that was awesome. And then the audience, man, when the bell rang, they were tremendous atmosphere. All right, I'm gonna do my best with my notes here to try and recap the absolute craziness that was this match. Once again, let me get some water for this one. All right, so both guys, they start off ahead with this match, basically going back and forth. At one point, Cody starts pulling out a table because it's Bloodline Rules and it's in Philadelphia, and the fans cheer. And then Roman, he knocks Cody down and puts the table back and just basically tells the fans, just basically waving them off, which is great heel work for Roman, knowing where he is, Philadelphia, knowing that the ECW audience is going to want them tables. The Bloodline, let's see, the Bloodline Rules match. So yeah, the Bloodline Rules pretty much comes into play here, into great effect into the match as Cody Rhodes digs into his father's arch nemesis book. Of course, Ric Flair doing the figure 4 leg lock, only for Roman to basically rake the eyes in front of the referee, Charles Robinson. Nothing he can do about it, and that's how that goes. So I was kind of finding it funny that at this point, like, it's Bloodline Rules. What stops Roman Reigns from just getting all the Bloodline members out there and just attacking Cody from the start? There's nothing the referee can do, but I guess Roman, to his credit as a heel, he wants to be it somewhat fair, I guess. But yeah, both guys, they were brawling outside the ring. Cody does a suplex on a platform to the audience, and while they're fighting in the audience, and then we get back in the ring, and there's a really great counter where Cody goes for the disaster kit, but in midair, Roman catches him and reverses it into the last ride powerbomb, which is of course the Undertaker, an Undertaker specialty. And Roman, and of course Cody kicks out. The trash talking I thought was awesome, on point. Roman was dropping uncensored B bombs, Pat McAfee dropping uncensored S bombs on commentary. We even get to see Roman break out a beautiful transition into a fisherman suplex. So Roman always showing that, hey, he's more than just spear and all that and clotheslines and stuff like that. Roman digging out some of the technical wrestling when he has to. I remember he said that once in an interview. So yeah, Roman Roman from here controls a good portion of the match, but Cody Rhodes starts making a comeback and eventually gets caught by Roman Reigns when trying to deliver the disaster kick into getting hit with his own finisher, the Crossroads, which he does kick out. In the audience, you could tell, kind of brought into that one because there's nothing more humiliating. For me, I was sitting here like, I'm not going to start buying into the near falls until all the shenanigans are out the way, because you know they were coming in this match. So Cody, he shows great resilience as Roman basically power bombs him through the announce table and then does a Superman punch in the ring. Cody's still kicking out. There's a great part in the match where Cody Rhodes counters Roman trying to do the rock bottom and lays him out with the spear, but Roman, of course, kicks out of the great near fall. So, you know, that reminds me back in the day when Stone Cold and The Rock were trading blows, doing each other's finishers. So I really like the call to that. When Cody Rhodes is nearly has the match won with the Crossroads, Jimmy Uso comes out, and I'm like, all right, it's Shenanigan City, and I knew it was going to happen, but it definitely made sense to go there for this match, for the drama. And Jey Uso ends up coming out and starts fighting off Jimmy, and they end up going all the way up to the ramp, and Jey Uso spears Jimmy Uso off the stage to the platform below, and that takes Jimmy Uso out of the match. And so that was cool, and I kind of figured this is going to be the theme. Everybody who maybe was wronged by the bloodline is probably going to come out, something like that. That's what I was fearing at this point. So from here, Roman hits the spear, but Cody kicks out again, and eventually Cody is able to turn the tables on Roman Reigns by spearing him through the barricade that gets a "This is awesome" chant. Like I said, this move is used quite a lot. It doesn't feel nearly as special, but honestly, in the heat of the moment of the match, I was still into it, so it still worked for me here. And then they do last year's spot. Cody hits 2 Crossroads, and then before he could hit the third, Solo Sikoa comes up out from behind, comes into the ring from behind him and nails him with the Samoan spike, and basically Cody goes down, Roman goes for the pin, but this time Cody Rhodes kicks out. So I thought it was great. If you're gonna have shenanigans and you're gonna have drama, then yes, you gotta go there. Have the last year spot just so everybody can go like, oh, not again. And I thought that was great that they were doing it. So yeah, shenanigans really well done here. And then what we get here, as I figured, John Cena makes a surprise appearance. John Cena runs out, massive ovation, and like I said, I'm not a big John Cena fan, but I was basically getting off my chair, jumping up and down because I knew where the story was going. And basically from here, it was cool. Solo Sikoa gets in the ring. Yeah, Cena takes on Solo Sikoa, gets him with the AA, and then he knocks out down Roman Reigns as well, which I'm like, oh, did John Cena have to hit Roman? I thought the idea would be nice to have everybody who makes a surprise in this match. That'd be one little critique I got about this match, is everybody should just basically try to even odds, but don't touch Roman. Only Cody should be touching Roman to get the finish, so that way he beat Roman one-on-one. But nonetheless, it doesn't take away the match. And then he puts Solo through the table, and from here, The Rock comes out, and John Cena's looking in the back, so they're playing up where we left off 11 years ago. The Rock gets into the ring, and him and John Cena are face-to-face. Audience is going crazy. And here we go, you know, playing up WrestleManias 28 and 29. So from here, we end up getting Rock and Cena face off, and Cena goes for a punch, but The Rock counters with the Rock Bottom, and that takes John Cena out of the match. And now The Rock is lining up to take that belt out, just like he told Mama Rose to go ahead and whoop Cody again. And while this is the moment where I hope we were going to hear the glass shatter, it wasn't meant to be, but what they did instead was still pretty cool. We hear the gong and the lights go out, and I'm like, oh, okay, Taker's in the ring. Lights come on, Undertaker's behind The Rock, and Rock is looking and selling with his eyes open, just like he used to, and the Undertaker's looking furious at The Rock, and he chokeslams The Rock. And, you know, it really brings me back to that promo that he told The Rock 24 years ago, one of the rare times that The Rock got owned on the mic, where he said, I don't dress like Satan anymore, but I'm still down with the devil, and I will go medieval on your ass. And hey, he tried to warn The Rock 24 years ago, and he came back and made good on that promise 24 years later. So after this, the gong goes on again, lights go out, lights come back on. and audience is going crazy. Even Michael Cole's like, this is crazy. And I figured it was going to be like Avengers Endgame. And from here, it is oh yeah, I forgot to mention before the Undertaker spot, Seth Rollins came out in the Shield gear. And I'm like, how are they going to do this? Roman's in the ring, John Moxley's in AEW, and The Rock is waiting. He's like, where are you? Where are you? Seth Rollins runs into the ring in his Shield gear to try and hit The Rock in the back with the chair, but Roman Reigns comes in and hits him with the Superman punch and lays him out. And what I thought was and that's where, yeah, they get to this part after the Undertaker chokeslams The Rock. Then Roman Reigns gets in the ring with a steel chair, and he sees Seth Rollins, and he nails Seth Rollins right in the back, just like Seth Rollins did to him in 2014 when he originally broke up the Shield. So really love the nice storytelling. But at this point, we are where we expected to be in the match. All the Bloodline members are gone. All the people that came out on behalf of Cody Rhodes are gone. It is now Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes one-on-one. The moment of question, can Roman Reigns still defeat Cody Rhodes when it's one-on-one, no Bloodline? So from here, Cody Rhodes is able, of course, to evade getting hit by Roman Reigns. He gets the upper hand. No, I actually think Roman went for a spear, and Cody Rhodes kicks Roman Reigns right in the chest, and then he grabs Roman Reigns and hits 3 consecutive crossroads, just like he tried to do at WrestleMania 29, but there was interference. Does it again here at WrestleMania 4, this time with all the interference being swept away. One-on-one, he lands all 3 crossroads and gets the 1, 2, 3, and man, such an emotional eruption from the audience. I was out of my chair jumping up and down like, yes, this was amazing. The commentators, everybody, just so much emotion that Cody Rhodes has finished the story. He has ended the nearly 4-year reign of Roman Reigns. He has now become the new undisputed WWE Universal Champion, thus finally finishing the story. Man, the emotion from everybody was insane after the Cody wins the championship. You could hear Samantha Irvin was choked up crying as she's trying to get out the announcement of Cody Rhodes being the new champion. Even the commentators were emotional. You can hear it in Michael Cole's voice. Cody Rhodes' wife, Brandy Rhodes, and everyone else that was wrong by the Bloodline gets in the ring to celebrate. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, LA Knight, John Cena, and Randy Orton. We get Mama Rose and CM Punk even eventually getting into the ring to congratulate CM Punk along with the rest of his family. Cody Rhodes then calls out Bruce Pritchard and Triple H to come out to join in celebration. Cody Rhodes, he hugs Bruce Pritchard, he shakes hands and hugs Triple H, and then he hugs his wife and starts to hug the commentators. We even get Cody and Seth Rollins shaking hands. Everyone eventually leaves the ring as Cody Rhodes is celebrating in the ring. Cody even shows respect to Nick Khan and the cameraman and the fans at ringside. Just really good to see Cody actually just not only celebrating with everyone that you would expect him to celebrate with, but even giving props to, like I said, the cameraman. Like, that's something you probably would have never seen in the Vince McMahon era. It just really goes to show you that Cody Rhodes appreciates all the work from everyone, no matter where they are, in front of the camera or behind the scenes. It just really goes to show you, man. I gotta go ahead and shout out SMP, some of his comments there. Yes, we've been live, and let's see this. Oh yeah, man, you're on point with that. The spirit of Dusty came to life tonight. Absolutely, man. Dusty Rhodes, I agree with you. SMP would be very proud of what his son accomplished tonight in this ring. And man, it was one of the most emotional endings to WrestleMania I think we've ever seen. And the last shot before they go ahead and play the WrestleMania highlights is Cody Rhodes going up the stage with the undisputed Universal WWE Championship, having finally brought the world title to the Rhodes family. There was even a nice moment where he presented the championship to his mother. Man, that was fantastic. And the only other one little nitpick I could really think about the match, given the storyline, was I was hoping that Mama Rose was going to take take that belt and whack The Rock in the back with it. It just would have been so poetic, but that's fine. Like I said, it doesn't take having Undertaker come out there as the chokeslam was fine enough. Would have been great, but hey, we all know Stone Cold, if he can't make it and give it 100%, you know, he's not going to show up, and that's very respectable about him as a performer. So even without not getting Stone Cold, I still thought it was tremendous. But nonetheless, this was, like I said, a great main event. Honestly, Triple H tonight, and just the overall event, Triple H proved with his booking tonight that the fans can trust long-term booking and not feel like they waited a year or two for nothing, as it happened so many times during the Vince McMahon era. Like I said, Vince McMahon throughout the decades, you know, tremendous in what he brought for WWE, but towards the end of his run there, how many times did a lot of us longtime WWE fans watch a product and we invest into something for a year or 2 years, and then it was for nothing? Like, the payoff just wasn't there. Like, man. And that's what Triple H proved tonight, that we can put that trust in him as fans for the long-term story. So I thought that was really tremendous that they did with that. Oh my gosh, what a main event here. What a main event indeed. And then, let's see, we got SMP with another comment here. Let's see what he says. I'm glad that Triple H was able to listen to every creator to help make this story great. Dude, content creators, fans, just fans in general who aren't even content creators, just listening to what everyone had to say was tremendous. And yeah, you said for the betterment of the company. Yeah, I mean, just listening to your fan base in general. Triple H clearly showed he cares about the fans, and that is most definitely what is going to be important moving forward. And honestly, in my overall thoughts, by the way, SMP, once again, thank you for joining the stream tonight. My overall thoughts in terms of WrestleMania 40, I thought night 2 was better than night 1. Night 1 was good, night 2 was great, and it overall balances out to what I believe was one of the all-time great WrestleManias. I can't really see how this can't go down as one of the all-time great WrestleManias. There wasn't a bad match on either night. There were good matches and great matches, and if you've got a whole card full of good, great matches with great outcomes that all make sense for the storyline, and you know, it really makes sense in terms of the story, man, that was really awesome. SMP here says that he meant it for the backstage creator for most definitely. Oh, okay, I got what you're coming from, SMP. But yeah, this was fantastic overall. Definitely WrestleMania 40 is an ultimate winner that's going to go down in the history books as one of the all-time greats. That said, let me know what you thought of both nights of WrestleMania 40 in the comments below, as well as check out my other WWE content here on the screen. Also, remember to like, subscribe, and follow by hitting the notification bell so that you are notified when my new content is released. Thanks for watching, and take care.